I watched men die through a viewfinder. That's what haunts me most. Not that I saw death. Every soldier saw death. But that I saw it through a camera lens, framed it, composed it, made sure the exposure was right before the light went out of their eyes. I was there, but not there. Present, but separated. Recording history while men made it with their blood. 7 years later, I still can't pick up a camera without my hands shaking. Name's Thomas Fletcher, Queens, New York. My old man worked for the Daily News photographer. Taught me the trade before I was old enough to see over the camera. By the time Pearl Harbor hit, I was 25, working freelance, decent reputation. Good eye, steady hands, always got the shot. The Army Signal Corps came looking for guys like me in early '42. Needed combat cameramen to document the war, make training films, shoot footage for the newsreels back home. Show America what their boys were doing overseas. Make it real for the folks buying war bonds. I volunteered. Seemed better than carrying a rifle. Seemed safer somehow, like having a camera would protect me. Make me an observer instead of a participant. Document the war, but not really be part of it. I was wrong about that. So wrong. They trained us at Fort Monmouth in New Jersey. Taught us how to use the Bell & Howell 35mm cameras, the IMO, how to load film in the field, how to keep equipment working in combat conditions. Taught us how to shoot while people were shooting at you. What they couldn't teach us was the weight of it. The weight of pointing a camera at a dying man instead of helping him. The weight of capturing someone's last moments for posterity. The weight of making art out of death. We shipped to England in late '43. Got assigned to various units. I went with the 1st Infantry Division, the big red one. They'd already seen action in North Africa and Sicily. Combat veterans who looked at me and my camera like I was there to steal something from them. Maybe I was. They called us camera commandos. Half joke, half insult. We didn't carry rifles, just cameras and film. No weapon to defend ourselves with except a .45 pistol most of us never fired. The infantrymen thought we had it easy. Just point and shoot, no risk, no fighting. But the camera didn't stop bullets. The press credentials didn't make the Germans aim somewhere else. And being unarmed in combat is its own special kind of terror. I met the guys I'd be working with, other cameramen scattered through different units. There was Bobby Morrison from California, always laughing, treated the whole thing like an adventure. Frank Delgado from Texas, quiet guy who'd worked for Paramount before the war. And Charlie Epstein from Chicago, Jewish kid who'd lost family in Poland and wanted to document what we were fighting against. We became friends in that way you do when you're all facing the same impossible thing. Shared drinks in English pubs, compared shots, talked about angles and lighting and composition like we were still back in the world making regular films. None of us talked about the fear. Didn't need to. We all felt it. By June '44, everyone knew the invasion was coming. They locked us down at the staging areas, gave us our assignments. I was going in on D+1, day after the initial landings. Go ashore, shoot footage of the aftermath, follow the advance inland. They wanted specific things, GIs in action, heroic shots, Americans winning, nothing too graphic. Show the folks back home that their boys were brave, that we were winning, that their sacrifice mattered. Keep it clean. Keep it patriotic. I nodded and listened and knew that what I was about to see wouldn't be clean or patriotic. It would be blood and death and horror. But that's not what they wanted. That's not what America wanted to see in their newsreels. The night before we shipped out, Frank and I got drunk in a pub in Southampton. Really drunk, the kind where you're trying to forget what's coming. You scared? He asked me. Terrified, I said. You? Yeah. He was quiet for a minute. What if I freeze? What if I can't shoot when it matters? You'll shoot, I said. That's what we do. He nodded. Yeah, we'll shoot, even when we should probably be doing something else. That stuck with me. Even when we should probably be doing something else. We boarded the transport on June 7th. The invasion had already happened. Men had already died. The beach was taken, more or less. We were going in to document the victory. The channel crossing was rough. I spent most of it checking my equipment, making sure everything was sealed, waterproofed, protected. The cameras were more precious than anything. Lose a camera, and you couldn't do your job. That's what they drilled into us. Protect the equipment. Get the footage. Don't lose the cameras. Protect the equipment. Not protect yourself, not help the wounded, not do anything except get the shot. As we approached the French coast, I could see smoke rising from the beach. Could hear artillery in the distance. The war was real now. Not training, not theory. Real. The landing craft hit the beach around noon on June 8th. The ramp dropped. I stepped onto Omaha Beach with a camera in my hands and no weapon to defend myself, and I started shooting. The beach was a graveyard. Bodies everywhere, some being collected, some still lying where they'd fallen 2 days earlier. Burned out tanks, wrecked landing craft, equipment scattered across the sand, and blood, so much blood, dried brown in the sun. I raised my camera and started filming. That's what they'd trained me to do. See the shot, compose it, roll film. I filmed the wreckage, the destruction, the aftermath, wide shots of the beach, close-ups of German fortifications, GIs moving supplies inland, all of it clean, professional, exactly what they wanted. What I didn't film, the body parts still in the surf, the flies on the corpses, the smell that made me gag behind my camera, the look in the medics' eyes as they worked through exhaustion and trauma. Frame it right. Cut out the horror. Show the victory. I followed the infantry inland, filmed them moving through the hedgerows, clearing villages, taking prisoners. Heroic shots, GIs advancing, determined faces, the American war machine rolling forward. But what I saw through the viewfinder and what was actually happening, those were two different things. Through the lens, brave soldiers marching to victory. In reality, scared kids trying not to die, fighting through mud and fear and exhaustion. The camera lied, or I lied with it, same thing. We reached a village, Saint-Laurent-sur-Mer, I think, on June 10th. Germans had pulled out overnight. I was filming the infantry entering the town when the sniper opened up. The private in front of me went down, just dropped, headshot, dead before he hit the ground. I kept filming. That's what haunts me. This kid just died 3 feet from me, and I kept filming. Didn't take cover, didn't help, just kept the camera rolling, because that's what I was trained to do. Get the shot. Always get the shot. The other guys took out the sniper. I got it all on film. Great footage. Action, drama, a dead German at the end. Perfect for the newsreels. That night I couldn't sleep. Kept seeing that private falling. Kept seeing myself standing there with my camera, recording his death instead of... What? What should I have done? I wasn't armed, wasn't trained for combat. My job was to film, but it felt wrong. Felt like I was stealing something from him. His death, his last moment, captured on celluloid for strangers in movie theaters to watch while eating popcorn. Frank found me sitting outside my tent around 0300. He'd been filming with another unit, had his own stories. I shot a guy dying today, he said. GI took a mortar fragment in the gut. He was calling for his mother while I filmed him. I got this perfect shot of his face. The light was just right. The composition was... He stopped. Jesus, Tommy, what are we doing? Our job, I said. But it sounded hollow even to me. Yeah, he said, our job. Document the war, record history, make sure people back home see what's happening. He was quiet for a moment. But what about what we're seeing? What about what this is doing to us? I didn't have an answer for that. We filmed through June and into July. The push inland, the liberation of towns, the fighting in the hedgerows. I shot thousands of feet of film, sent it back to England for processing, for editing, for turning into newsreels that would play in theaters from New York to Los Angeles. I shot firefights, artillery barrages, tank battles, shot wounded being treated, prisoners being taken, towns being liberated, shot French civilians thanking their American liberators, children waving flags, old women crying with relief. All of it real, all of it true, all of it lies. Because what I captured was the surface, the moments that looked good on camera. What I couldn't capture, wouldn't have been allowed to capture even if I could, was the deeper truth. The fear, the trauma, the way war destroys everything it touches. In late July, near Saint-Lô, I was filming an artillery bombardment. Great footage, explosions, smoke, the power of American firepower. I was set up maybe 200 yards back, good angle, perfect light, a short round. One of our own shells fell short, hit an infantry platoon waiting to advance. I watched through my viewfinder as American artillery killed American soldiers. I stopped filming. Couldn't do it. Couldn't film our own men being torn apart by our own guns. It was too much, too real, too horrible. An officer came up to me later. "You get that on film." "No, sir," I said. "Camera jammed." He looked at me for a long moment. We both knew I was lying. "Shame," he said. "Would have made good training footage." Training footage. Men dying from friendly fire turned into a lesson for the next batch of soldiers. That's what we were doing. Turning death into content, suffering into cinema. Bobby Morrison got hit in August, filming a river crossing, waded out too far, took a burst from a German machine gun. They pulled him out, but he'd lost too much blood. Died on the way to the aid station. He'd been filming when he was hit. We developed the footage later. The last frames showed the water churning from bullets, then the camera tilting as he fell, then sky, then nothing. They used part of it in a newsreel, cut it right before he got hit, ended with a heroic shot of Americans crossing under fire. Victory, courage, triumph, not death, never death. Death didn't play well in movie theaters. I kept filming. What else could I do? It was my job, my duty. Someone had to document the war, and if not me, then who? But every time I looked through that viewfinder, I felt further from human. Like I was becoming the camera, all lens and shutter and mechanics, nothing but an eye recording events without feeling them. By September, we'd pushed through France into Belgium. I'd shot so much footage I'd lost count of the reels. Thousands of feet of film showing the American advance, the liberation, the victory. What I hadn't shot, the full truth. The things they told us not to film. The things that wouldn't make it past the censors. The things America didn't want to see. We weren't allowed to film American dead with their faces showing. Couldn't film the worst of the wounds. Couldn't film men breaking down, crying, refusing to fight. Couldn't film the summary executions of prisoners that sometimes happened when units were taking casualties and had no time for niceties. Couldn't film the looting, the drinking, the 1,000 small violations that happen in war. Film the heroism, film the victory. Don't film the truth. But the truth leaked through anyway. You couldn't spend months filming combat without seeing things that didn't make it into the frame. Things that happened just outside the viewfinder. Things you couldn't unsee even if you never filmed them. There was a village in Belgium, I won't say the name, where we found what the SS had done before pulling out. Civilian massacre. Women, children, old men. Shot and left in the street like garbage. The officer wanted me to film it. Evidence for war crimes trials, he said. Document the atrocities. Show the world what we were fighting against. I filmed it, Wide shots, close-ups, every terrible detail. Professional, thorough, complete. Then I went behind a building and vomited until there was nothing left. Charlie Epstein saw the footage. He was Jewish, remember, had lost family to the camps. He looked at those images and said, "Now film the camps. When we find them, you film everything, every body, every oven, every gas chamber. Make them see, make them all see what was done." I nodded. Didn't know if I could, didn't know if I should. But I knew I would because that's what we did. We filmed, we documented, we bore witness, even when bearing witness was destroying us. In October, I was with a unit pushing into Germany proper, filming them clearing a town house by house. Germans fighting harder now, defending the fatherland, making us pay for every room. I was in a house filming an infantry squad when a German kid, couldn't have been more than 16, came out of a closet with a Panzerfaust. He fired. The rocket went through 2 GIs before exploding against a wall. The rest of the squad killed the kid, tore him apart with automatic fire. I filmed it. All of it. The attack, the deaths, the revenge. Perfect footage. Action, drama, justice. That night I realized I hadn't felt anything. Watching 2 Americans die and a German kid get shredded, and I'd felt nothing. Just kept the camera steady, made sure the exposure was right, got the shot. I was becoming the machine, all lens, no heart. Frank noticed. We were in a bombed-out building sharing a bottle of brandy we'd liberated from somewhere. "You're not right," he said. "None of us are right anymore. But you're somewhere else, Tommy." "I'm fine," I said. "You're not. You film everything like it's a landscape, like there aren't people dying in your frame." "That's the job," I said. "Document, record, get the shot." "Is that what we're doing?" he asked. "Or are we just hiding behind the cameras so we don't have to actually deal with what we're seeing?" I didn't answer. Couldn't. Because he was right. The camera was protection, armor, a way to experience war without experiencing it. See everything but feel nothing. But it was killing me anyway. Just slowly, invisibly, frame by frame. Winter came. The bulge. Germans launched a massive counteroffensive, caught us by surprise. I was attached to a unit that got cut off near Bastogne. Filmed the desperate fighting, the cold, the running out of supplies. Got some of the best footage of the war. Raw, real, powerful. GIs fighting in impossible conditions, holding against overwhelming odds. American determination, American courage, American sacrifice. But what I remember isn't what I filmed. It's what happened when the camera wasn't rolling. The guys I was with, they started treating me like I was bad luck, like my camera attracted death. Every time I filmed someone, seemed like they'd get hit soon after. Superstition. But superstition matters when you're scared and dying. They told me to stay away. Didn't want me filming them. Didn't want to end up in one of my shots in some newsreel, dead for the entertainment of folks back home who'd never understand what they died for. I tried to explain. I was documenting history, preserving their stories, making sure people remembered. They didn't care. They just wanted to survive, and my camera felt like a curse. Frank didn't make it through the bulge. Artillery strike, direct hit, nothing left to film, nothing left to bury. Just gone. Another name on another casualty list. He'd been right about hiding behind the camera, but knowing he was right didn't help, didn't change anything. I still had a job to do. By the time we broke the German counteroffensive, I was hollow, going through motions, point camera, press button, capture death, mechanical, automatic, empty. We pushed into Germany in early 1945. I'd been filming combat for 8 months straight. 8 months of death through a viewfinder. 8 months of being present but separate, witnessing but not participating. The footage was good. The Signal Corps was pleased. My reels were showing up in newsreels across America, showing the folks back home what their boys were doing. Victory after victory, town after town. The American war machine rolling forward, unstoppable. But I was dying inside, not physically. Physically, I was fine, hadn't been wounded, barely even a close call. But something essential was leaking out of me. Call it humanity, call it soul, call it whatever. With every frame I shot, I felt less human. There was a kid with the infantry, replacement fresh from the States. Green, eager, wanted to be a hero. First firefight, he froze up. Just stood there while bullets snapped past him. His sergeant pulled him down, screamed at him, got him functional. I filmed it. The freeze, the fear, the shame. Great footage. Real moment, captured perfectly. That night, the kid came to my tent. "You gonna use that?" he asked. "The footage of me freezing?" I shrugged. "That's up to the editors back in England." "Please," he said, "please don't. My folks will see it. My girl. They'll know I was scared." "Everyone's scared," I said. "But they don't have it on film." His voice cracked. "You can make me disappear, right? Just don't send that footage in." I looked at him. 20 years old, scared, ashamed, begging me to erase his moment of human weakness. Because that's what the camera did. It captured moments and made them permanent, made them real in a way memory never could. I sent the footage in, did my job, documented the war. Don't know what happened to that kid. Don't want to know. But I think about him sometimes. Think about what it cost him to have his fear immortalized on film. We crossed the Rhine in March, filmed the engineers building pontoon bridges under fire, the infantry crossing, the tanks rolling into Germany proper. Victory footage, the beginning of the end. America winning the war. But winning didn't feel like winning. Just felt like more death, more destruction, more horror captured on celluloid. The first camp we found was in April. Can't remember the name, or maybe I've tried to forget it. Concentration camp, slave labor camp, death camp. Whatever you want to call it, it was hell made manifest. They ordered us to film everything, document the atrocities, make a record so the world would know, so no one could deny what had been done. I filmed the gates, the barracks, the bodies stacked like cordwood, the survivors, walking skeletons with eyes that had seen things no human should see, the ovens, the gas chambers, the pits filled with ashes. I filmed it all, professional, thorough, complete. And I felt nothing at all. Just checked my exposure, kept the camera steady, changed film reels when needed, mechanically documenting the worst thing human beings had ever done to each other. Charlie was there. He'd been transferred to my unit. He watched me film, watched me stay calm and professional and empty. "How can you do that?" he asked. "How can you film this and not feel anything?" "I feel it," I said, but I was lying. I didn't feel anything. The camera had eaten all my feelings, left me hollow, a machine recording other machines of death. We filmed 3 more camps over the next 2 weeks. Thousands of bodies. Tens of thousands. Evidence of systematic murder on a scale impossible to comprehend. I got every frame they needed, every terrible, necessary frame, and I remained empty. Number, less human with every shot. Germany surrendered in May. VE Day. Victory in Europe. The war was over. We'd won. Americans celebrating in the streets, dancing, kissing, crying with relief. I filmed it. The celebrations in Paris, in London, in Brussels. Soldiers laughing, French girls kissing GIs, old women weeping with joy. The liberation, the victory, the triumph. Sent it all back. Perfect footage for the newsreels. Show America what their sacrifice had won. Show them the joy, the relief, the end of the nightmare. But for me, the nightmare was just beginning, because now there was nothing to film, no mission, no purpose. Just me and the things I'd seen and the emptiness where my feelings used to be. They sent us back to the States in June. Heroes, they called us. Combat cameramen who documented the victory, made sure the war was preserved for history, for posterity, for all time. I came home with a duffel bag full of equipment and a head full of images I couldn't unsee. Images I'd captured on film and images I hadn't. Images that existed only in my memory but were no less permanent for that. New York looked exactly the same. That was the strange part. Everything I'd left behind, still there, unchanged, like the war had happened on another planet. My apartment was still there, my things still where I'd left them, my darkroom untouched, everything waiting for me to come back and pick up where I'd left off. But I couldn't go into the darkroom, couldn't look at cameras, couldn't do anything except sit in my apartment and stare at the wall and feel the weight of everything I'd filmed pressing down on me. They gave me a week to rest, then wanted me to start working on a documentary. Combat footage from Europe, edit it together, add narration, make a training film. Show the next generation of soldiers what war looked like. I couldn't do it. Couldn't sit in an editing room and watch the footage again. Couldn't cut and splice and arrange death into a coherent narrative with a beginning, middle, and end. Told my commanding officer I needed more time. He was understanding at first. Combat fatigue, he called it. Shell shock. Said I'd be fine once I adjusted back to civilian life. But I wasn't adjusting. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. When I did sleep, the dreams came. Not nightmares exactly, just images, frame after frame of death, playing in my mind like a film strip that never ended. The Army gave me an honorable discharge in August. Service complete. Job done. Go live your life, soldier. You earned it. Earned it. Like I'd done something honorable instead of spending a year and a half pointing a camera at dying men. I tried to work. My old contacts were still around, still needed photographers. Offered me jobs shooting for magazines, newspapers, agencies. Good money. Better than the Army paid. I took a job at Life magazine. Society event. Fancy party in Manhattan. Easy work. Just shoot some photos of rich people in expensive clothes, make them look good. I lasted an hour. The flash going off sounded like gunfire. The people posing looked like corpses. The whole room felt like a tomb. I left. Didn't even tell them I was going. Just walked out and didn't come back. Tried again with a different job. Wedding photographer. Seemed safe enough. Happy occasion. Joyful people. Nothing to trigger anything. I composed the shot. Bride and groom, standing together, smiling. Through the viewfinder, I saw them clearly. Young, happy, their whole lives ahead of them. Then I blinked and saw them dead. Both of them. Lying in mud, torn apart by shrapnel, faces frozen in expressions of shock and pain. I dropped the camera, walked out. Never went back to get my equipment. My old man tried to help, took me out for drinks, tried to talk to me. He'd been a photographer for 40 years, seen plenty of grim things. Death, tragedy, accidents. He thought he understood. It's just pictures, Tommy, he said. You point the camera, you take the shot, you move on. Can't let it get to you. But he'd never filmed a war. Never spent 18 months capturing death for the entertainment and education of people who'd never understand. Never turned human suffering into frames per second. I started drinking. A lot. Not socially. Not for fun. Just to make the images stop, to blur the sharp edges of memory, to feel something other than emptiness. Met a girl in 46, Sarah. She was kind, patient, didn't ask about the war. We dated for a few months. She wanted to get married, start a family. I couldn't. Couldn't imagine bringing children into a world where what I'd filmed actually happened. Couldn't imagine being responsible for other human lives when I'd spent 18 months watching life end and doing nothing but capturing it on celluloid. She left. I didn't blame her, told her I wasn't fit for normal life, for marriage, for happiness. She deserved better than a broken man who couldn't pick up a camera without shaking. By 1947, I wasn't working, living on the money I'd saved before the war, slowly running out. Spent my days in my apartment, curtains drawn, avoiding light. Light was the enemy. Light meant exposure, meant apertures, meant f-stops and shutter speeds and all the technical knowledge that was useless now. Charlie Epstein found me in '48. He'd stayed in the Army, was working for the Signal Corps stateside. He'd heard I was struggling. "You need to talk to someone," he said. "This isn't healthy, Tommy. You're dying in here." "I died in France," I said. "This is just my body catching up." He convinced me to see a VA psychiatrist, guy who specialized in combat trauma. I went, figured it couldn't hurt. The doctor asked me about the war, what I'd seen, what I'd filmed, how it made me feel. I told him I didn't feel anything, that the camera had eaten all my feelings, left me empty, that I'd watched men die and felt nothing but the need to keep the exposure right. He said I was protecting myself, that the emotional numbness was my mind's way of dealing with trauma, that it would get better with time and treatment. I didn't believe him. This wasn't protection. This was just what I'd become, a camera in human form, all lens, no heart. I tried to get better, went to weekly appointments, talked about the war. The doctor said talking would help, that naming the trauma would give me power over it. It didn't help. Talking about it just made the images sharper, clearer, made me relive every frame in perfect detail. I stopped going to appointments in 1949, stopped trying to get better, just accepted that this was who I was now, the man who'd filmed the war and lost himself in the viewfinder. 7 years. That's how long it's been since I came home from Europe. June 1945 to June 1952. 7 years, and I still can't pick up a camera without my hands shaking. They want me to give a talk. Veterans Organization wants combat photographers to speak about documenting the war, share our experiences, inspire young photographers, show them what it means to serve. I don't know how to tell them what it means. That it means watching men die through a viewfinder. That it means choosing the shot over the person. That it means coming home empty, a machine pretending to be human. I see Charlie sometimes. He's doing well. Got married, has a kid, still working as a military photographer. He seems okay, seems to have adjusted. When I ask him how he does it, how he still shoots, he shrugs. "It was a job," he says. "A terrible job, but a job. You do it, you come home, you move on." But I can't move on. Can't separate the camera from what I captured with it. Can't look at a photograph without seeing all the frames that came before and after, all the context that didn't make it into the shot. My old man died last year. Heart attack. I went to the funeral, stood there while they lowered him into the ground. People took photos, family photos, memorial photos, preserving the moment for posterity. I wanted to scream at them, wanted to tell them that photos lie, that the camera steals something from reality, that every frame is a distortion of truth. But I didn't. Just stood there, silent, watching. Found all his old equipment when we cleaned out his apartment. Cameras, lenses, darkroom gear. My mother asked if I wanted any of it. I said no. Couldn't bear to touch it. She seemed disappointed. Thought I'd want to continue the family tradition. But that tradition died in France. Died filming death for the entertainment of people who'd never understand. I work now. Finally found something I can do. Night watchman at a warehouse. No cameras, no photos. Just walking around in the dark, making sure everything's secure. It's quiet, dark, safe. No one asks me to document anything or capture anything or preserve anything for history. Just walk, observe, report. No lens between me and reality. I think about the footage I shot. Thousands of feet of film, edited into newsreels and training films and documentaries. Playing in theaters and classrooms, showing people what war looks like. But it doesn't show what war looks like. It shows what war looks like through a camera, carefully framed, properly exposed, edited for consumption. The truth is in what I didn't film, what couldn't be filmed, what shouldn't have been filmed. Bobby Morrison, dying in the water, camera still rolling as he fell. Frank Delgado, blown apart by artillery, nothing left to bury. The kid who begged me not to use footage of him freezing. The concentration camps, the bodies, the evidence of humanity's capacity for horror. All of it on film. All of it preserved forever. All of it carved into my memory in frames per second. I tried to pick up a camera again last year. Borrowed one from a friend. Went to Central Park. Thought maybe I could shoot something peaceful. Trees, people, birds, normal life. Got one shot off before I started shaking. Through the viewfinder, I saw the park, but I also saw France, Belgium, Germany, saw bodies where there were children playing, saw blood where there was grass, saw death where there was life, put the camera down. Haven't touched one since. The VA doctor was wrong. It didn't get better with time. Time just made it clearer that this is who I am now. The man who filmed the war. The man who chose the shot over the moment. Documentation over participation. The lens over life. People ask if I'm proud of what I did. If I think my footage mattered, if it helped. I don't know how to answer that. The footage exists. It's in archives, in films, in history. Future generations will see it and think they understand what war was like. They won't. They'll see shadows of truth, carefully composed, properly framed, edited for their consumption. They won't see what I saw. The moments between frames. The things that happened just outside the viewfinder. The reality that couldn't be captured on film because film itself is a lie, a manipulation of light and time and truth. But maybe that's the point. Maybe war is too horrible to show in full. Maybe the camera does humanity a service by lying, by creating distance, by turning horror into frames that can be watched and filed away and forgotten. I can't forget. Every frame I shot is burned into my memory. Every death I filmed plays on endless loop in my mind. I see it all, always, even when I close my eyes. 7 years later, I'm 32 years old. Got a job, got an apartment, got a life that looks almost normal from outside. Go to work, come home, eat, sleep, repeat. Functional, surviving. But inside, I'm still behind the camera. Still watching men die through a viewfinder. Still choosing documentation over humanity. The shot over the person. The frame over the feeling. They say the camera captures truth. It doesn't. The camera captures light and shadow arranged in specific ways to tell specific stories. Truth is bigger than what fits in a frame. Truth is what happens when the camera isn't rolling. I watched men die through a viewfinder. That's what I said at the beginning, and it's still true. 7 years later, I'm still watching, still filming in my mind, still trying to get the exposure right on memories that should have stayed in darkness. The war ended in 1945. But for me, for all of us who filmed it, the war never ended. We just stopped recording it. The images kept coming, frame after frame after frame, an endless film strip of death and horror that plays forever behind our eyes. I can't pick up a camera without shaking, but I can't stop seeing in frames, can't stop composing shots in my mind, can't stop being the machine they made me into. 7 years later, I'm still filming, still watching life through a lens, Still separated from reality by the need to document, to capture, to preserve. Still dying in the viewfinder, one frame at a time. And the worst part? Somewhere in an archive, on reels of film stored in vaults, everything I shot still exists. Will exist long after I'm gone. The deaths I documented, preserved forever, playing in perpetuity for audiences who'll never understand what it cost to capture them. That's my legacy. Not life, not love, not creation. Just death, properly framed, perfectly exposed, preserved for all time. I watched men die through a viewfinder. And 7 years later, I'm still watching, still dying, still behind the lens where I can never truly live.